Know a lot about golf.
Well, we're waiting.
And it is time for us, those weekend golf guys. I am John Ashton in studio. Jeff Smith, live from the confines of the Golf Cave at Timbergate Golf Course in Edinburgh, Indiana, will be joining us on and off throughout the morning this morning, or the day today. You know where you are and what time it is. We've got basically a few things we're going to talk about this morning that are going to affect your ego. One would be, we're going to talk with Gavin Dear, a wonderful Scotchman from Scotland, who actually has a Scottish accent, no less. He's also from Shot Scope, and I have a new V3 GPS watch that also tracks your shots very easily. I mean, it's artificial intelligence, which sometimes beats regular intelligence. I mean, it's great stuff. But you're going to learn, for the most part, probably that your 7-iron doesn't go 150 yards. It's not your 150 club like you thought all these years. We're also going to be talking with Pete Charleston from Golf Logix. And it's a Back to the Future event for them because, you know, they've been the high-tech digitized company that's put out apps for your phone where you can read greens and you can get GPS yardages and all that. And now they are printing green books. Bona fide, just like the pros use green books with heat maps and slopes, contours, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, once you get this in your hand and play your favorite course with it, you're going to go, oh, that's why I never could make that putt. And last but not least, we are going to tell you more about wedges than you ever cared to know. Terry Koehler, he is with Edison Wedges. In fact, he is Edison Wedges. He's designed wedges for the last 50 years and has come to the realization that really wedge design hasn't changed in 50 years. Until now, with the Edison Wedges and his designs. And he is going to explain to you in great detail exactly why they're different, what his thought processes are, who they're being designed for, how they're going to work better for you, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's going to get to the point where you're going to have a shot, you're going to pull your wedge out after you hear this interview, and you're going to go, why bother? Yeah. Like you need more frustration in your life. We've got that and a whole lot more coming up. Jeff will join us in a minute, too, right here on Those Weekend Golf Guys. Of course, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/golf guys. We would love it if you were to go there and like us. We'd love it even more if you'd go there and follow us. And you want to make us real happy, just go there and interact with us. Facebook.com/golf guys. When you start your hiring process, you may have questions. Will you find good applicants to choose from? What about education and experience? And how will you know you've made the right hire? Indeed is here to help. Millions of great candidates use Indeed every day to find their next opportunity. You can post a job in minutes and use screener questions to help create your short list of applicants fast. Also, add skills tests to your job post so you can be confident in your applicant's abilities. Their library of more than 50 skills tests range from industry-specific skills like accounting to general aptitude tests like critical thinking. Indeed gives you the smart tools to make hiring decisions quickly and to be confident that you're making the right hire for your team. Post your job today at Indeed.com/weekend and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. That's Indeed.com/weekend. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Offer valid through September 30th, 2020.
Stunning.
You don't have to hit a shot to fall in love with the Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lake Resort. Our hotel and golf packages are the way to go. Add the casino and spas, and it's a road trip for the memory book. Safely get back to the game you love with one of the packages found online at FrenchLick.com. Legendary golf at French Lake Resort. A breath of fresh air.
Must be 21 to enter casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
In the age of COVID-19 restrictions, it is harder than ever for a guy in business to make a good first impression. Business cards are great, but you can't shove one through a phone. What do? Well, you need a digital business card. That's what you need to do, and I've got one. You check mine out. Go to thebusinessgolfcourse.com. See what our Go cards are like. They are absolutely phenomenal way to do business in this day and age. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Go there now. thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Hey, thanks for hanging. We are those weekend golf guys. I am John Ashton in studio. Jeff Smith has had to leave us temporarily to go actually teach somebody how to play golf, but that's what happens when you're the number one golf instructor in the state of Indiana. You actually have to work for a living. We have with us on the line Gavin Dear from Shot Scope. And Gavin, want to say hi and thanks for spending some time with us here on those weekend golf guys. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me on. As your listeners will probably hear, I'm from Scotland, so try and speak slowly, clearly.
we appreciate that. Being from Scotland, you guys take ownership of the game?
It's interesting because obviously every village has a golf course, and when you grow up, invariably you learn to sort of play golf. You may have lost that by leaving and going to university, etc., but there's something to do with it's a working man's sport here, and it's junior memberships might be $50 for the year, and you would get dropped off and play in the summer. So the tourist board will call us the home of golf. I think we think of it as something that pretty much everyone here has had some type of involvement with the game.
Shot Scope, what is it officially?
We're a company that produces GPS watches, but we're known for performance tracking. So we've taken those two segments and put them together. So V3 is our flagship product, and it's both a GPS watch and a performance tracker at the same time.
The performance tracking, I have not yet used that part of it. Because, to be honest with you, I don't know if my ego will be ready for it or not. That's the one thing you got to watch out for. How does it work? Because I've seen performance tracking things where you've got the little sensor you put on the end of your club, and then you have to rub it across something you wear on your belt to register it. How does that whole registration thing work? How does the watch know, or the app know what clubs you're using?
We ask the golfer to put small tags in the end of their clubs. There's no batteries in there, so they're light. They don't affect anything.
Right.
And then what happens is the watch actually has the technology inside the strap, and it senses the tag during the swing.
Ah, okay.
And we work out, have you taken 2 practice swings? Have you a 6-iron, and then you change to a 7-iron? We do all of that in the background, and we effectively allow you just to play your game. Don't think about that stuff. Just enjoy yourself. And then after the round, you can upload all the data to the app, and your round will appear, and it'll show you overviews and all your data.
So you'll know that your 7-iron really is not your 160-yard club, it's your 140-yard club, right?
Yes, and that's how you play better golf, and you take money off your friends.
Yeah, you just lose the ego.
Yeah. It's very simple to use. The key for us, obviously, being in Scotland, we like to play pretty quickly. I think that's one of the main issues with golf around the world, slow play.
Right.
We never wanted a product that the golfer was going to have to pull out phones, look at information. It would obstruct the way they play.
Right.
With the V3, you can just play as quick as you can.
Just do it. Yep. Are you guys primarily golfers or computer guys, or how do you mix those two, man?
We're a split. So we're a team of 16. There's 9 or 10 golfers, and there's sort of 6 out-and-out techies.
Okay.
Would be the best way, and they wouldn't have a problem with me saying that. And so it's a funny mix. Night outs. We used to do driving range nights, so I used to go and teach everyone, and they would give it a bash, and they're constantly asking questions about golf and what does this mean. I'm building an app, I'm building a page, and in the old days, it was what's a par, what's a birdie, what's a double. So you're explaining things like that. They now have a good grasp of it, but it's an interesting mix.
Yeah, because you still have to really understand the game in order to be able to create something practical like you have with the V3.
Yes. The other side of that is what I would say is our 10 golfers, we have, I used to play on tour. We've got a couple of golfers that are plus golfers, but we've also got golfers who play once a week and play off 25. You need that sort of range to have the perspective of, okay, does this stat make sense to you? Does it make sense to someone else?
Right. The recreational golfer doesn't care about all of the subtle nuances that a tour player would need to know.
Correct. And so there's different levels of education, and we want to, give somebody the information that they want. If they want to take it to the furthest point, we'll allow them to do that. But at the same time, someone that says, I want to know how far I hit the club,
Right.
and I want to know how many greens I hit,
Yeah.
we'll show them, we'll make that really easy for them to find.
I have played with some apps similar, and they have an attitude. When you're done and you push the button to end the round or to save it, it comes up and says, do you really want to save this round?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, we were talking earlier, it's tough, there is nowhere to hide when you capture your performance data.
Mm-hmm.
But we do about 300,000 to 400,000 shots a day. So, worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking serious amount of data. And our guys improve first 25 rounds, 2.5 shots a round. So there's tangible improvements there by just knowing how far I hit the club. And
by leaving your ego aside and actually, like I have a brand new driver, and on a, downhill hole with the wind at my back, I hit a 270-yard drive. As I tell people, I can get the senior discount at McDonald's. I'm not supposed to hit it 270, but I'm not going around now saying I got 270 is what I hit it, because I know that was just a total freak accident. Everything happened to work perfectly well that way. My average is much less than that. And once you get over, like you said, the whole ego thing, and you know what you can do, then you're going to come up short less often and be more accurate more often.
Correct. And to be honest, as much as I say I used to play a bit on tour, I've got a small kid. I play once every 2 to 3 weeks if I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much a recreational golfer these days. When I step onto a golf course, I want to play as well as I can.
Sure.
But I know I haven't spent the last 7 days hitting balls at the range and practicing.
Yeah.
So using the data actually allows me to cheat a little bit on knowing, okay, I know my distance is a bit more than the other people I'm playing with. I know I should be looking at the back yardage on the watch, because most likely I'll mishit it slightly and it'll end up in the middle of the green, rather middle and ending up short, and the dangers at the front. And so it's just being a little bit smarter. You don't need to be a lot smarter,
Right.
just a little bit smarter than the guys you're playing with.
Yeah. I tell the guys I play with, because, we know each other's game pretty well. And the guy says, what do you think I should shoot here? And I said, take the club you think you should shoot and then go one higher.
Yes.
If you think you're going to hit a 7, hit a 6. But anyhow, Gavin Dear with ShotScope. Man, it's the V3. Does that mean it's the third iteration of the product?
Yes, it is. Yes.
It's great. And the thing I really love about it, because I saw it, I don't usually play with a watch on. And I'm like, I don't want this weight on my wrist. But it's light as a feather, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So we hear that a lot in the North America. Mm-hmm. I don't play with a watch. Bizarrely, in the UK, avid golfers' watch use is about 75%.
Really? Okay.
Whereas in the US, it's about 40%. But it's growing really quickly. And it's growing really quickly because they're so easy to use. And V3 weighs 40 grams.
Okay.
You'll not find another watch that weighs 40 grams.
No, and it does,
whether
and
it be for golf or anything else.
And it keeps perfect time, too, when you're not on the course.
Yeah, exactly. So it's becoming much more popular in the US, watch use.
Right.
It is simpler, I think, as golf courses drop GPS carts, and having some type of distance device is like having a driver. You need it to play golf.
Yeah, definitely.
You're lost. So we manage our own course mapping database. So if somebody ever says, here's the top course in Indiana, it's got new bunkers on the 18th hole, shoot us an email. We can sort that in a couple of days and get you those distances.
Fantastic.
So, there's things that are quite cool, and in the technology that golfers don't see, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah, very good golfers teamed up with computer geeks, and you get all of this great stuff that's going to help you play golf. Gavin Dear, ShotScope. We like to call this the shameless self-promotion portion. So how do people who are listening now figure out more about what you've got and how to get a hold of one?
So if you go to shotscope.com, you can find out more information on the product. We launched it on the 6th of July. We are pretty much sold out worldwide.
Wow.
So if you really want to buy one, Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy will have some black, red, and teal strapped units in the next week or two.
Fantastic.
And that's about the only place in the world you'll get them.
And you can also buy extra bands and make them color coordinated to all of your outfits.
Yeah, you can do all sorts. They're replaceable strap.
I like the black one. It suits my mood when my round is over. Gavin Dear, ShotScope. Do appreciate your time with us here on those Weekend Golf Guys. When you start your hiring process, you may have questions. Will you find good applicants to choose from? What about education and experience? And how will you know you've made the right hire? Indeed is here to help. Millions of great candidates use Indeed every day to find their next opportunity. You can post a job in minutes and use screener questions to help create your short list of applicants fast. Also, add skills tests to your job post so you can be confident in your applicant's abilities. Their library of more than 50 skills tests range from industry-specific skills like accounting to general aptitude tests like critical thinking. Indeed gives you the smart tools to make hiring decisions quickly and to be confident that you're making the right hire for your team. Post your job today at Indeed.com/weekend and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. That's Indeed.com/weekend. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Offer valid through September 30th, 2020.
Stunning.
You don't have to hit a shot to fall in love with the Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lake Resort. Our hotel and golf packages are the way to go. Add the casino and spas, and it's a road trip for the memory book. Safely get back to the game you love with one of the packages found online at FrenchLick.com. Legendary golf at French Lake Resort. A breath of fresh air.
Must be 21 to enter casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Grab your peanuts, grab your popcorn, and sit back, relax. Baseball is back. There is plenty of action to be had from the comfort of your own home. And DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, is putting you on the field with a shot to play risk-free for hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy baseball is easy to play. You just pick 10 players. You stay under the salary cap, and you pile up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. There's no better way to put your baseball knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at hundreds of thousands of dollars. Baseball knowledge. Say, I ain't got it. Well, if baseball isn't for you, don't worry, because DraftKings is offering plenty of fantasy golf action for this weekend's tournament, too. With millions of dollars up for grabs this week, there is no better place to have skin in the game than with DraftKings. So download the DraftKings app right now and use the promo code WEEKEND to get a free shot at a share of the millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. Promo code WEEKEND to get a free shot at a share of millions of dollars with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. In the age of COVID-19 restrictions, it is harder than ever for a guy in business to make a good first impression. Business cards are great, but you can't shove one through a phone. What do? Well, you need a digital business card. That's what you need to do, and I've got one. Check mine out. Go to thebusinessgolfcourse.com. See what our Go cards are like. They have absolutely phenomenal way to do business in this day and age. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Go there now. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Of course, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/golfguys. We would love it if you were to go there and like us. We'd love it even more if you'd go there and follow us, facebook.com/golfguys. Hey, thanks for hanging and coming back. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. I am John Ashton in the studio. He is Jeff Smith at the Golf Cave at Timbergate Golf Course in Edinburgh, Indiana, and well ensconced in his office in Scottsdale, Arizona, in the Phoenix area from Golf Logix, Pete Charleston. Pete, welcome back to those Weekend Golf Guys. It's been a while. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on.
And thanks for sending me those the green books or the course books or whatever it is you officially call them. My question is, isn't this kind of like a Back to the Future thing?
Yeah, it is a Back to the Future thing. It's like modern technology meets traditional golf.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people have been sketching out green diagrams and arrows and stuff since the beginning of time, and we figured out how to digitize it and throw it back to the golfers out there.
It's remarkable to walk up to a green on a golf course that you've played forever and you go, oh, that's why I can never sink that putt. You know?
It's the beauty of what architects can do to your brain, right? I mean, yes, the green, it just looks like it's going downhill and to the right, or they say it always breaks towards the valley, whatever it is.
Right.
But the reality is it is until it doesn't. And the architect, when they built it, they can tilt that green and make your eyes look like, oh, I got this. And then every single time you miss. But the green books, they tell you, they show you exactly what the ball is going to do. And
you have to be able to believe it, because my group that we play golf with often refer to them as optical delusions.
Yep.
A lot of times when you look and you go, that's going to break, way to the left. And then you hit it and it breaks way to the right. And you go, wait a minute. How did that happen? And then you look at it from another angle and you go, oh, that's how it happened. But still, visually, none of us recreational golfers, I think, have the acumen to be able to look at a green and know where it's going to go. Jeff, of course, he's poo-pooing all of this because
Oh, of course I am.
He can read a green like.
I'm not one of those guys. I didn't grow up playing golf and picked it up later. And what I've found is that I just don't read greens well.
Yeah.
But when I'm fortunate enough to play with a caddy, and the caddy's behind me, oh man, hey, putt the ball right here.
Yeah.
Well, I was a basketball player in college. I mean, it's just like a jump shot. I'm like, oh, that's easy. Just hit it right there. I could do that.
Yeah.
I can't read greens. It's so hard.
Knowing where to putt is like, 90% of the whole putting routine, because like I said, for recreational golfers, man, it is just so difficult to read a green. If it wasn't so difficult to read a green, Jeff, you wouldn't get people coming out to your how to read a green seminars.
You're right. I wouldn't get them out here because they'd realize that not everything breaks toward the stratosphere.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
In Vegas.
But it's just so refreshing to be able to look at this. Now, we have seen people come and people go with, in fact, we talked to you a couple of years ago about a way to read a green with a cell phone.
Right.
That was a little bit too involved to actually, I imagine it just took too much time, didn't it?
Well, it's done really well, but we identified there's really two different types of golfers, right? One, more embrace, technology, like a handheld technology.
Right.
And then there's ones that want to be a little more traditional, and the putting, and when we still have it, and it's really doing well. Golf Logix, the app, it allows you to get your putt readouts, but the only drawback is you have to take your phone on the green.
Right.
Now we've got it down and you get good at it. It's really quick, but you still have to take your phone on the green.
Right.
So we actually went backwards in technology. Like you said, we went back to the future, and we created, we went from a software company to actually a hard good custom green contour book that we provide. And now it's in their back pocket, and anytime they need help on a putt read, they just pull it out, flip to the page. God, there it is. My goodness, I read that completely wrong.
In fact,
you still got to putt the ball. It doesn't help you with your putting, so they still need lessons.
Exactly right. But at least it gives you a better idea of where to start it, at least. Still doesn't, well, it can help with the speed control and everything because it lets you know the topography, if it's downhill or uphill or how severely it is and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the way you do it too, I mean, you can carry it, but it does have the entire hole, on the page. So you can plan where you want to shoot for, how far away you are, and you can plan where you want to land on the green. You can do what the pros do. You can know what that topography of the green is before you get there.
Which is important on the approach shot. Right. Like everybody forgets, they look at the pin, they grab their laser and they shoot for the pin and like, I'm going right at it. Well, if someone would take 2 seconds to open up the book and we have this heat map, which highlights the slopey areas in red, and then it goes down in red, orange, yellow, and it goes into green, blue, white, right? Well, pins are generally in more of the green, blue, white because, you can't have a pin in a really slopey area. But you look at where the pin is, and sometimes I don't care how good you are, you shouldn't be going for the pin. You try to aim, and this is what the pros will tell you, you want the straightest, flattest putt, right? It may be a little bit longer, but you have a better chance of making a straight, flat putt than you do, some downhill snake, even though it's 8 feet, the odds that you're probably going to 3-putt it. So
at least.
There's a lot of helpful information.
Yeah. And I know, Jeff, you're a proponent of not aiming at the pin for that very same reason.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot better places to aim.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how many putts realistically in the golf world, when somebody goes out and plays 18 holes of golf, how many putts realistically are actually going to be straight? I contend that there might be one if they're lucky.
Yep.
So having said that, John, how dumb do you have to be to aim it at the center of the hole?
To quote you have to be dumb.
Dumb. There's a lot of U's in there.
A lot of U's in there.
And, you get yourself a green book for your golf course, and all of a sudden you can see that, and then you go, okay, yeah, so there is going to be some here.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize it. It's amazing to me what happens when people get just enough information to be dangerous.
I was going to say a plug on to what Jeff said about the straight putts. The beauty of this green contour book is that when you get up to the green, the holy grail of this green book now is on that heat map. When you walk up, you stand behind your ball and you orient yourself and you're like, okay, I'm here. Oh yeah, cup's here. Oh boy, my ball is in like a blue or white and the cup is in a blue or white area. If that happens, which as Jeff doesn't happen all that often, but when it does, the confidence level should shoot to the moon because this putt is straight. Worst case scenario, it's inside the hole. So you don't even have to factor the break into it. You just have to like pick your line or however you line up yourself. God, I don't see straight putts ever. I like in my mind, I just have every putt has to break. Yeah. So when you actually see this in this area, you're like, oh boy, I'm going right at the cup.
And like I said at the beginning, man, if you get one for a course that you play often, which happened with me, you look and now you can understand why it's been so hard to sink the putts because we just don't see things the way they're designed half the time. I don't know, like I said, optical delusions. You just realize suddenly that you don't notice that subtle nuance that's going to make you miss left or miss right, which you always do every time you putt this green, no matter how many times you play this course. I took one and gave it to the pro at the course because they didn't have any there. And I said, have you ever seen this? And he went, no. And then he started looking through it and he went, oh my God, this is fantastic. And he said, can I keep this? And I was like, yeah, sure. Take it. I've got plenty.
Oh.
They'll make more.
I was going to say, we need to get you another one.
You very, very generously sent me 4 the first time. I appreciate it.
Okay.
See, now I had to share it with my foursome and it didn't give me the leg up I was hoping for, man, you know?
Right.
And again, for recreational golfers, man, is even when you're chipping, it's nice to know where that ball's going to go so you can aim better.
Well, what's interesting is with respect to chipping, definitely pitching, but chipping as well. Most people stand up, amateurs, they line up and they look at the pin and they're chipping at the pin. Mm-hmm. Well, good Lord. They forget all about this. They're so concerned with trying to chip the right distance. They forget the fact that this putt breaks 6 feet from right to left, but they're going right at the pin. And then now the ball rolls and they actually hit a good chip and the ball rolls off the green. With looking at the green book, you see it. Like it's so obvious that the putt, you see these arrows, big, huge, easy to read arrows that anybody, even with glasses, I'm 51, so starting to lose my short, close up view, but we made an arrow super big. You can see arrows pointing to the left, balls going to the left. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then all of a sudden you're in a good position.
Builds your confidence, lowers your frustration. And you've got them available for almost every golf course in the country, don't you?
Yeah, we've got about 14,000 courses done. We've been working on it for, 5 years. We've been cranking away, and you can go to golflogix.com, Logix.com, and type your course name in. Mm-hmm. If we have it, you're able to buy it right there for $40. Or please go in and tell your golf course. We would rather sell them through the pro shop. Right. That's how we're going to do really, really well, getting the golf courses to stock them. Super minimum order for the golf courses. And now they're right there in the counter and everybody can buy them.
And it becomes, while I'm here, I'll pick one of these up, make it that much easier for everybody.
Yeah, I love the fact, what you brought up that was pretty cool. What's that? Is that you've played your home course, right? Mm-hmm. This is a course you play all the time. And I get this as an objection. Oh, I'm not going to need it. I play this course all the time. You don't know what you don't know, right? And now all of a sudden you're like, oh my.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not just a course you're going to play on vacation. It's your home course.
That's right. If you shoot par under par on your home course every time you play it, then maybe you don't need the book. But most of us don't and do. That's it.
I would contend that you need it more on your home course because you're going to make more money off it when your buddies don't have that information and you do. You want to talk about a serious investment. How many things in golf right now could you spend a measly $40 on and that would actually make you more money than what you spent on it in the first bet? How realistically, how many things are going to happen like that?
This is about it.
I call it the best piece of equipment you can buy in 2020, right? I mean, what can you buy for $40 that is actually really going to help you out on the golf course?
This is it. Golf Logix, Logix.com. If you've got the book for Weisinger Hills Golf Course, which is a city-owned golf course in Shelbyville, Kentucky, I'm sure you've got the course book for basically everybody's home course. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Just if we don't have it, you can request it.
That's it, exactly. And Pete, again, thanks for spending some time with us here on those Weekend Golf Guys. You want to see how great a golf instructor Jeff Smith really is? It's very easy. $5golfclub.com. The number $5golfclub.com. When you start your hiring process, you may have questions. Will you find good applicants to choose from? What about education and experience? And how will you know you've made the right hire? Indeed is here to help. Millions of great candidates use Indeed every day to find their next opportunity. You can post a job in minutes and use screener questions to help create your short list of applicants fast. Also, add skills tests to your job post so you can be confident in your applicant's abilities. Their library of more than 50 skills tests range from industry-specific skills like accounting to general aptitude tests like critical thinking. Indeed gives you the smart tools to make hiring decisions quickly and to be confident that you're making the right hire for your team. Post your job today at Indeed.com/weekend and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. That's Indeed.com/weekend. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Offer valid through September 30th, 2020. And thanks for hanging and coming back. We are Those Weekend Golf Guys. I am John Ashton in studio. He is Jeff Smith at the Golf Cave, Edinburgh, Indiana, at the Timbergate Golf Course. And we have with us Terry Koehler from Edison Wedges. And Terry, first off, I want to welcome you to the show. Thanks for spending some time with us. And we have a natural affinity because we are proud to say that we're probably one of the few, if not the only, golf talk show that really doesn't care about the PGA Tour. You're the same way with the designing of your wedges. You design wedges for the average golfer.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, the tour guys have some brilliant minds working with them in their wedges. And Roger Cleveland, I've known for about 35, 40 years. Bob Oakey, a master, Aaron Dill that works with them at Titleist, Mike Taylor up in Fort Worth. There's some really talented people to work with these guys. But my approach to wedges has always been, what is that 5, 8, 12, 20 handicapper telling me is their problem? And what are their challenges with wedge play? And Jeff, I'm sure you've heard this and see this as an instructor. People are frustrated because their distance control isn't consistent and they don't get as much spin as they want. Their ball flight is too high. And what I've discovered and been preaching about essentially for almost 30 years is the reason that golfers have those three problems is because it's built into the wedges we play. And the laws of golf club physics can't be denied just because it's a wedge and not a 5-iron or a driver. But it's about smash factor. It's about gear effect. It's about mass distribution on the golf club. You know, wedges have not kept up with the modern game the way every other piece of equipment has. We don't talk about forgiveness in wedges, but that's what drives 460cc drivers. That's what drives perimeter weighted irons. That's what drives big mallet putters. We recreational players, our best shots are great. It's just they're not often enough.
Amen.
Business is to help you develop a swing to make them more often. My business is develop a golf club that lets you get away with those swings that aren't quite perfect. And that's what I've been focused on for 30 years in the wedge category.
Well, that's one of the things that most of us recreational golfers have been searching for is something that can, some technology that can overcome our lack of ability.
Exactly. And that's why drivers have gotten so big, as I mentioned, in perimeter weighted irons. I mean, if you hit it right in the dead center every time and play blades and play persimmon for Pete's sake, but nobody does that. And the problems that plague recreational players plague tour professionals as well, but not as frequently because they are so skilled. I mean, and Jeff, you can talk about the extraordinary level of skills of tour professionals in making precise contact, but even those guys, they hit the errant shot just like the rest of us. It's just not quite as frequent.
Sure they do, and that's the thing. And they pay a higher price for their mistakes, though, with the money they're playing for and whatnot, but they don't make them very often. That's why they practice so much. And, the average guy doesn't have that kind of time. He doesn't have the time to commit to his wedge game like a tour player does or any other part of his game. So that's why the manufacturers are successful when they build something that the average player can succeed with without paying a high price.
Well, exactly. If you remember when Big Bertha, the driver, first hit the scene,
yeah, I sure do.
Everybody laughed at it. It was the goofiest looking thing you'd ever seen until you hit it. The same with the ping answer. That was goofy looking as hell until you putted with it and found that it rolled the ball better than a bullseye or an 8802, and it was more consistent when you didn't hit it quite solid. And the great breakthroughs of our industry have been those things that let you get away with things. The tight lies fairway wood, the hybrid, change the long end of our set entirely. And here we are. I published a picture last week of two wedges that Ben Hogan made for Jack Fleck and delivered to him in person at the 1955 U.S. Open, which Fleck beat Hogan in some brand new Hogan irons and Hogan wedges. And they remarkably look like what's on the market today. And I've been pointing this out to people for years. There's nothing in your bag with 50-year-old technology, but your wedges are nearly identical to what we've played all along. And yet the agronomy around the greens has changed. They're much more diabolical. The way we play wedges as a full swing golf club, which it never was in the Hogan, Nelson, Demerit days. Wedges weren't a full swing golf club. The pitching wedge was. It was a 51 or 52 degree golf club that looked like your 8-iron, 9-iron. The wedge itself is a challenge. First of all, you have 50, 55, 60 degrees aloft. So you're going to hit a glancing blow compared to, say, a 7-iron, which is a more direct face-on blow. Your driver's a direct face-on blow. That introduces an element of challenge because you have this glancing blow you're trying to manage. But you aggravate that by putting all the weight in the bottom of the golf club to support this wide sole that wedges have. The laws of golf club physics, we talk about gear effect and smash factor. That wedge by design wants to launch the ball high with no spin, just like your modern driver that's got a carbon fiber crown and all the weight in the bottom. That was to encourage high ball flight and low spin. Where is the weight on your wedge? It's just like that driver. It's all in the bottom. And then you aggravate that gear effect of high launch, low spin. You aggravate that with the fact it's also got 50 or 55, 60 degrees of loft on it. And golfers, 80% tell me they can't control the ball flight of their wedges, and therefore they can't control distance. Why is that acceptable? I mean, Jeff, I'll throw this out to you. It's like even the tour player, we see it every week. He's got a shot in the rough, catches it high on the club face. Every listener you have knows when you catch it high on the club face, it's not going anywhere, right, Jeff?
That's right. That's right, because there's not a lot of weight at the top of the blade of those things. Most of them are so thin at the top and so fat at the bottom that, they shoot straight up in the air and they go nowhere, even though the loft is the same from top to bottom. You got the CG so low that all it does is throw it in the air and it goes nowhere forward. So
my simple singular question that's driven me for 30 years is, why is that acceptable? I've creeped up on this. A lot of wedges manufacturers have started putting a little more mass high in the golf club head. I started doing that in 1995 with wedges I designed with Reed Lockhart. It's my first golf company. I thickened the top half even more as I developed the Eidolon wedges. I created progressive weighting in 2010 to push that even higher in the score wedges. I continued that pathway with the Ben Hogan TK wedges when I took that company on. And I finally, with this company, Eidolon, I said, I'm going to quit creeping up on this. I'm going to pack so much weight high in the club head until I make it dysfunctional. And we pushed it all the way to where it was not functional and then came back toward the design we have, which looks nothing like anybody else's wedge. If you dissected the wedge at about the fourth or fifth groove, which is kind of the center of impact for a good shot, we've got about 3 times more weight above that groove than anybody else in golf. I use the term smash factor because we talk about that with drivers and irons. Nobody talks about that in wedges. But when you move impact 3/4 of an inch up the face of that wedge, your smash factor, which is the transfer of energy, reduces in a conventional tour design wedge by 20 or 25%. And we mitigated that down to about a 7% smash factor difference. So instead of being 50 or 60 feet short with that 90-yard wedge shot that you hit high in the face, we're going to be 20 or 25 feet short. I mean, it's not the front bunker or the creek. It's a 20 or 25-foot uphill birdie putt. And it's not our perfect shots we're after. I mean, on perfect shots, our wedge works like everybody else's. It's the non-perfect shot that I would chase. And how do I make that better? And we've done that with this golf club. It's remarkable the difference in it. And as a result of that, we also greatly enhance the gear effect. So on a static robot tested golf shop, our center hit spin is 35 to 45% higher than tour wedges, but our average miss hit spin is 65 to 70% higher because we only see a 10 or 12% spin fall off on that high shot or that toe shot, whereas other companies will see a 60 or 70% spin fall off. The whole idea is if you're 105 yards or 92 yards or whatever your number is, and you pull a 53-degree wedge or a 58-degree wedge, and you think it's going to go that far, our goal is let's make it go that far. And if you hit it a little high, a little on the toe, let's still get your 105.
Simple goal.
Yeah. What a concept, right?
Yeah, let's make it work.
So the whole idea was consistency and distance, because even for tour players, I dissect tour statistics a lot, Jeff, and look at, so you see from 75 or say 100 to 125 yards, the best tour players are averaging 16 or 18 feet from the hole. They're hitting it to 2 feet and 1 inch and 3 feet. Quite often we see it on TV. That means they're also hitting some 35 or 40 feet from the hole from 100 yards. These guys don't throw darts every time. So it doesn't matter what your skill level is. You still can only be as good as the golf club.
Right.
And none of them play persimmon drivers because they can be longer with the modern driver technology, right? The better iron players still tend to play something of a muscleback blade. And here's a little tidbit for you from robotic testing. We tested pure classic muscleback blades, which less than 2% of golfers say they're good enough to play a muscleback blade. But if you take a muscleback blade pitching wedge and you take a tour design wedge of the same loft, which, the wedge companies do bring their loft down into 46, 48 degrees, the muscleback pitching wedge is extraordinarily more forgiving than that tour design wedge. So you've got 98% of golfers say they're not good enough to play a tour iron, but they think they're good enough to play a tour wedge. And the fact is they're not. This golf club wasn't designed to be forgiving. And so, you can like the look of it all you want, but, you can like the look of your Corvette, but if you're going to the ranch, don't take it, take your truck, right? But, everybody's carrying tour design wedges, and then they wonder why their wedge game is terrible. And we did a survey, and we asked people, what was the driving force behind your last wedge purchase? And less than 1 in 5 said to improve my short game. Their grooves are worn out. They just wanted to try a different brand. They wanted to change the lofts. They're conditioned because wedge purchase after wedge purchase after wedge purchase has not delivered game improvement to them. So basically, they've given up hope. And people are buying in the U.S. 1 million one wedges a year. They carry 3, but they're buying 2.5 million drivers and they only carry 1. So people have given up. And this is, if you think of it by replacement numbers, drivers are 2.5 million. Wedges should be 5 to 7 million a year if you were chasing technology. But, I've heard so many people, and Jeff, you might have heard this in your teaching, and say, I'm just a bad wedge player. And
I hear that all the time.
I just suck. And I said, well, okay, strip the graphics. You played the same golf club for 25 years and different brand names on it. The basic rule of golf club design and engineering is you can't change the performance if you don't change the golf club. I can't, make the golf club a different color and change performance. I got to change the weight distribution. That's what make golf clubs tick. You have to dramatically change, and moving 5 or 6 or 8 grams around on a 300-gram wedge head is not changing performance. You got to move 100 grams. You got to really move a lot of mass in order to really change performance. So we use this tagline of bold ideas and better golf shots, and we were bold enough to say wedges have been wrong for 50 years. It's time to change the way they look.
And the thing that you guys do, and I'm sure somebody knows as much about marketing as you know about wedge design, Terry, but the whole idea of making a set of 3 and then buying it back or buying something to replace it with if you don't like it. If they do react as well as or as differently to the average golfer as the design says they should, then people are going to realize that they've been playing the wrong clubs forever.
I'm a big believer that you can't buy wedges off of a hitting mat. You can't buy wedges even off of a driving range. The only way to evaluate wedges is to take them to your golf course, hit the shots that you face every round. That little short side pitch on number 3, that wedge approach on number 5, that, full swing gap wedge here. And that, and you can watch launch angles and how the ball reacts on the green and you feel how it comes off the golf club, how it interacts with the turf. And so I believe if I'm going to ask you to give wedges 2 or 3 or 4 rounds, then I need to provide you the wedges that you should be buying. with the right lofts, the right shaft, the right length and lie specs. And so, yeah, we have a pretty bold claim that put them in your bag and play 3 or 4 or 5 rounds with them.
Terry Koehler with Edison Wedges. How about some shameless self-promotion, Terry? How do people find the deal that we just started to talk about for the Edison Wedges? And
we got a lot of information on our website. We're just getting started.
Indeed,
that's edisonwedges.com.
Fantastic. Terry Koehler, man, we could talk forever. And I see Jeff's been nodding his head back and forth. He understands all that center of gravity and smash factor stuff.
That's the way it is. That's what makes balls move.
We just want to know that it works better for us. Get that hinge and thump working, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Terry Koehler, man, love talking to you. Hopefully we can talk some more because it's been so informative and enjoyable. And thanks for spending some time with us here on those Weekend Golf Guys. In the age of COVID-19 restrictions, it is harder than ever for a guy in business to make a good first impression. Business cards are great, but you can't shove one through a phone. What do? Well, you need a digital business card. That's what you need to do, and I've got one. You check mine out. Go to thebusinessgolfcourse.com. See what our Go cards are like. They are absolutely phenomenal way to do business in this day and age. Thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Go there now. thebusinessgolfcourse.com.
Stunning.
You don't have to hit a shot to fall in love with the Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lake Resort. Our hotel and golf packages are the way to go. Add the casino and spas, and it's a road trip for the memory book. Safely get back to the game you love with one of the packages found online at FrenchLick.com. Legendary golf at French Lake Resort. A breath of fresh air.
Must be 21 to enter casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
All right, a few minutes together yet. We are those Weekend Golf Guys. I am John Ashton and Jeff Smith from the Golf Cave, Edinburgh, Indiana's Timbergate Golf Course, and the #1 golf instructor in the state of Indiana. You want to take advantage of that? We've got some deals we need to talk to you about. We have a new sponsor called My Golf Card. Now, we have mentioned before, in this day and age of social distancing, you really don't have a whole lot of occasion anymore to be able to hand someone a business card. And even when you do, what is it, 2 inches by 3 inches, and it's got your name, your phone number, and that's about it. Maybe a pithy little saying that people may or may not remember. But if you have a digital business card, you don't have to be face to face with anybody, and they can know exactly what you're about. You can put videos on there. You can put personal appeals. You can do whatever you want to do on this thing. I want you to check it out because I can't do justice to it verbally. It's called My Go Card, and you can see ours. I mean, we liked it so much we got one. So My Go Card is the name of the product. You can see ours at thebusinessgolfcourse.com. Now, should you want to do business with My Go Card, this gets back to what we said about the #1 golf instructor in the state of Indiana. He ain't cheap, but he would be more than willing to give you 3 free golf lessons. He'll send you 3 free videos, a $300 value. All you have to do is say, hey, I love that whole My Go Kart thing. I signed up, make me a better golfer so we can do this business golf thing, and my business will flourish, my golf game will flourish, and everybody will be happy. All right. I want to thank our guests today, Terry Koehler from Edison Wedges. I love that line he had about, I got away with one. That's the thought. You mishit something and it still works. That is so good. I don't have to be perfect to play this game well. I want to thank him. Pete Charleston from Golf Logix. And I got to tell you, man, once, even on your home course, like he said, if you get there and you suddenly realize what that slope is and to what degree it is, which is what you can see in these books, then reading the green becomes so much more simple. Actually, you don't have to worry about reading it. All you have to worry about is your distance control, and that is it. And your distances, you want to talk distance, you want to make sure you know exactly what your distances are. Put your ego aside and get yourself a shot scope. I want to thank Gavin Dear from Shot Scope to explain the V3 and how it will mess with your ego. But check them out. Just some of the great equipment we've run across in the past couple of weeks we wanted to pass along to you. Follow us, why don't you, thoseweekendgolfguys.com. Anytime you want to catch up on anything, that's where we do all of our stuff. Facebook.com/golf guys. Okay, I lied. We do some of our stuff there too. So whether you want to go get yourself some new wedges or a green book or maybe even a GPS watch, or maybe you just want to go back to the garage and pull the clubs out that you used 3 years ago, just get back out to the golf course and play some golf. And for this week's bonus content, we go back in time 1 year to this weekend, the 16th of August in 2019. when we were talking about the evils of slow play. And it's us, those weekend golf guys. I'm John Ashton. He's Jeff Smith, and we've already impressed you with the fact that he's down at PGA headquarters. A command performance, by the way. They said, "Yo, Jeff, hey, we need you here, buddy." And he flew on down because when the PGA says, "Come see us," then you've got one of those cards and that PGA thing after your name, you kind of go. I guess you have to. You know?
It's one of those things. It's like getting called in the principal's office.
Contractually obligated, and there you go.
That's it.
Man. All right. Okay, so slow play. There's this one guy, someone once said, "Hey, it's golf. It's not rocket science." And this Bryson DeChambeau guy says, "Yeah, you think so? Hold my beer." And has proceeded to make it very much more scientific than anybody ever has since or before or probably since. But he's slow. And even his excuses are slow. And he says,
pretty long-winded.
"But I walk fast between shots." Okay. And then we've had a problem a couple of weeks before this with our buddy JB Holmes.
Yeah.
Was playing he was having the worst day of his life, probably. I don't think he had
man, what a horrific day for this guy, right?
Yeah.
He's playing what is ostensibly his worst public round of golf.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's very public.
Oh yeah,
that's right. You're in the final group, of the Open Championship,
and everybody in the world is watching.
And all of a sudden, you have a hiccup in your golf professional career on that day, and at the same time, you're playing, and there's a guy playing there with you that is notably a fast player and likes to point out the fact that he can't stand slow players.
Exactly. And JB Holmes is notorious for playing slowly. But I love JB's attitude, man. I love it. Because they were talking to him after the round. And, of course, he was very embarrassed, you could tell. He was not very happy, you could tell. And then they brought this thing up about how, what's his face, whose name escapes me? Brooks Koepka was complaining about his pace of play. And he said, "Yeah, well, I may have been a little slow, but Brooks plays like he's got ice cream melting in the car."
Yeah, which is truly one of the best lines I think I've heard in professional golf for a long time.
Indeed.
What a great reaction to that, right? Plays like he's got ice cream melting in the car. You can just see it now, can't you? Come on.
Let's go. We got to get through this thing here.
I didn't even leave the thing on running with the air conditioner on. Come on.
Oh, man. So that's mess up, especially when you've got all of that money riding on every shot. And it is truly the most important shot is the next one. You can't afford to lose your concentration. You can't afford to be afraid of the guy next to you mumbling under his breath. So slow. You really.
I wonder if it was really mumbling under his breath.
No, I don't. No, he wasn't mumbling under his breath. I'm sure he was vocalizing his displeasure. Yes, indeed.
I get the distinct sense that Brooks Koepka does not really care to mumble under his breath.
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't care if it comes out at a particular audible volume.
Yeah, not right? One to couch his phrases. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't think he cares.
No, I don't think he really does. But the fact of the matter remains that whether you play fast or whether you play slow, whether you've got a lot riding on it or not much riding on it, whether you want to take 2 minutes to line up an 8-foot putt and then miss it anyhow or not, the fact of the matter is that playing slow is probably the number one complaint most of us have about playing golf. Is you get behind these guys who, A, don't know what they're doing, B, don't care that they're playing slow. They figured they paid their money, they're going to take their time.
Yeah.
C, take way too much time looking for a $2 golf ball. Or D, don't understand the rhythm of the game. You know, the guys who are riding in the carts in front of you, and you watch the cart as it pulls up to one guy's ball, and he gets out, and he does his distance shooting, and then he picks his club very meticulously, and then takes 17 practice swings. and then hits the ball. And then with disgust throws the club back in the bag in the back of the cart, and then the cart moves off to the other guy's ball 10 yards right and 5 yards forward.
Yeah, that makes me nuts when the guy who's sitting in the cart just doesn't drop off his buddy, drive over to his own ball, get his own clubs out, and prepare to play. And then the guy who's originally hitting the shot after, cold topping it, another 10 yards,
right,
doesn't just waddle up to his ball up there again. He has to run back to the cart or wait for the guy to hit his other shot and then drive back to get him and drive that 10 yards up to his ball and hit the same club again.
Yeah. Come on, you can't hit that club anyhow. Just move up, try it again. Move it forward a little bit.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you'd think that there were ways that you could communicate to people without hitting into them. That is a way of communicating the fact that they're playing rather slowly, but not very polite.
Yeah, I think that there's people out there trying some form of sign language. I'm not sure how visible it really is.
You're too far away to discern how many fingers I'm holding up.
Right. So I think there's a point where they just extend their arm up your direction to help you see what it is that they really mean.
Exactly.
I think that's their way of communicating.
Oh man, but that is just one scenario. You've got the people who are really, really slow, but then you've got somewhere along the line of 18 holes. You can be playing slowly, but you can see that there's no place for the people in front of you to go. There are people behind you pushing you, who may or may not discern that you have people in front of you that are holding you up, who are being held up by the people in front of them. Somewhere down the line, there has got to be perpetrators. It's the same thing with traffic on the highway, man. It's like sometimes you come to a dead stop and you have no idea why.
Yeah.
And then
somebody decided to pass somebody else, or somebody decided to slow down and rubberneck for somebody on the side of the road, or something like, I don't know, maybe just somebody changed lanes.
Yeah. And sometimes it can just free up for no apparent reason. You go, okay, it's just taken me a minute and a half to go 15 feet. Why? And it's the same on the golf course. I still remember when the intrepid producer Mark and I were playing, and there were a couple people in front of us who had been holding us up on every hole for like the last 6 holes on the back nine. And we got to number 18 tee, and they were only about 100 yards in front of us off the tee. And Mark said, "These guys have been. I'm going to go down there and say something to them." And I looked at the kid, and they were kids. They were teenagers, maybe young teenagers, like maybe 13, 14. They were playing in dilapidated sneakers. They were carrying their bags. They had like 66 clubs in each bag. That kind of guy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I said, "Mark, come on, man. They're learning the game. Obviously, they're young kids. We should encourage them." And he said, "John, you're right." Once again, as he jumped in the cart, I said, "Where you go?" And he said, "I'm going to go down and encourage them to play faster."
I find one flaw in that story.
What's that?
That he decided that he'd say, "Mark or John, you're right."
Yeah, okay. I embellished just a little bit.
Okay.
And unless you had said something, no one else would have known. Thanks a lot.
Well, we just don't want intrepid producer Mark to get a bad reputation.
I understand.
Because everyone who knows him knows that would be a false
those
statement.
words would never escape his lips. I understand
Right.
completely.
Yeah.
However, why did people play slow? Why does it get slow? Who can fix it? And how can they fix it? We are going to solve that problem for once and for all. Hopefully people will pay attention to us. Figure the chances of that, man.
Right. That'll be a first.
On second thought. What do you think we should do for the rest of the hour? Okay, no. We're sure.
I don't know.
Slow play and how to fix it. We'll take care of that when we come right back. We are those weekend golf guys, man. Why don't you follow us on Twitter? It's very easy. Just go to twitter.com. We are at WKND Golf Guys.